Okay, so now that we need to work with the shop front there, and we have the existing wall that you can see has these two openings that each have a curtain wall inserted. I just want to show you how I've made those openings and spend a little bit of time looking at the edit profile option. And so firstly, just so that you know when that option's been used, you'll see when you select a wall, it should always give you the edit profile option on the ribbon, as long as it's a straight wall. I'll just show you if it's a curved wall. I'll just go and draw a new wall, and I'll draw a straight one first. Okay, so there's a new straight wall, and you can see there it gives me the edit profile option. If I go and draw, oh sorry, oh that's right, that's right, so I was asking the question, that's right. Okay, so we've got the option to edit the profile for this wall, again because it's not curved. If I go, and just so you can see, if I go and draw a wall with any of these arc options, then you'll see you don't get the edit profile option, instead you get this wall opening option. So it works a bit differently, but it makes sense because for a wall that's curved like that, you won't have the same flat profile or elevation that you can draw with a straight wall. So I'll delete that one and then just look at the straight wall, and again you can see it's got this edit profile option, but I can tell this one hasn't had any changes to the profile because of the option next to it being greyed out. So you'll see if I click on the wall that has had a change to the profile, it's got the option there to reset profile. So if I click on that, then it's going to remove all the changes that have been made with edit profile. And so you can see there we've lost the openings that are there for the curtain wall. So I'll undo that, of course. I want to keep those openings. But also just want to point out quickly, you've got the wall opening tool on the architecture tab, which is something people do use quite a bit to make quick openings in walls, and it works, especially for rectangular openings. It's pretty good. But what I've found with that is that it's also difficult to be accurate. So when you select these openings made with the dedicated opening tool, you can type in measurements, but you could see as I was drawing it, it was quite difficult to make that accurate. And even here, if I make this have an accurate measurement from the side, you'll see then if I try to put in an accurate measurement from the top, it's going to be a bit more difficult. So you can see there it's moved the whole thing, which is a problem. I just wanted to move the top, and I know how to do it, but I'm not going to show you. There's a few workarounds you can use to make this accurate. You can type properties, and you can also use things like reference planes, but I found it's a lot of work just to be accurate with that that dedicated opening tool. So what I've found, when you need to be accurate in the positioning and the sizing of your openings, I found it's much easier instead to use edit profile. So again, I'll just show you quickly with this example wall on the side. When it's selected, if I choose edit profile, we see the outline of the wall as it would be viewed in elevation. So of course you can work in an elevation view to draw in your profile, or you can do it in the 3D view, whichever you prefer. But maybe I will show you in the elevation view just so it's a bit clearer. So if I draw a rectangle here for one of my openings, you can see there that it gives me dimensions that are a bit easier to work with. And I can easily then choose which line I'm adjusting, and that way it's again a lot easier to be accurate with the measurements. And of course in a situation like this where we've got a shop front that needs to have openings that are a particular size, it's a much better approach. And then also, because you've got freedom to edit the profile however you like, it means that the openings don't just need to be rectangular, they can be any shape you like. They can be a sort of L shape like that, or you can have curves. And literally make the openings any shape you like. Okay, so the big limitation with this is if you want it to only cut through part of your wall, this approach doesn't work. So editing the profile cuts through the whole wall. But if that's what you want, then it's a great option. So for cutting holes, but also don't forget for making the outside a different shape, it's a really good option as well. So it gives you a lot of freedom in your design of your walls. Alright, so I'll just get rid of the top. You can't have that line left because then it wouldn't be a closed shape, so I've got to delete that line, but then it definitely will let me make the wall a different shape. So great option for modifying your walls. And then also to work with the wall that you've been given. So if I select this wall, and let's say I want to make the door there a little bit wider, possibly I might even want to have that whole shop front taken across to the right, but for now I'll just make it a little bit wider just so you can see it do that. And then maybe I want to put a door as well on the other side or something. So for that you'll need to edit the profile, and again just by selecting the wall you can go to edit profile. Don't worry if you get a message about the top and base attachments, you can just ignore that, so I'll just close this. And then again I can either keep editing in a 3D view or switch to the elevation that's looking towards that wall. And you can see there the shape of the opening, so let's say I just want to make that door a bit wider. I'm going to select this line. Well, it'd be nice if it gave me a dimension, because I want to do it with an accurate measurement. So in many cases it will, but if you see that it doesn't give you a dimension, you can always draw your own dimension. So I go from the line on the right to the one I want to move, place a dimension down below, and now if I select that line, I can use that dimension that I've just added to modify that line. So let's say, well actually maybe I want to make it a bit more than 2000, let's say 2200. So a nice wide opening. And then over here, maybe I want to have a door on that side as well for some reason. Or, no, actually, maybe I'll just bring this line down. So maybe I just want to bring that whole storefront opening down to the same level as this threshold here. So I might just use the align tool. And I'll choose the line that I want to align with, and then the one I want to move. So yeah, that's a great tool. If you're not using a line, that's a brilliant option in Revit. So that's it. So I'll tick to finish. And then you can see it's giving me a warning, but usually warnings are just that. They're not full errors, so you can often ignore them once you've read what the warning is. And it's going to tell me that walls will be disjointed. Yep, I'm happy with that. That's fine. Okay, so now going back into my 3D view, and you can see there that the curtain wall needs to be adjusted. So I'm going to spend time going over curtain walls after this, but for now, just to modify the shape of that curtain wall, it's also been changed with a profile. So profiles work equally with curtain walls as with basic walls. So by selecting that curtain wall, I can again go to edit profile, and we can tell already that there's been a change made to the profile because it's got the option to reset the profile. So if I reset it, you'll see the shape that it was, which is a rectangle. I don't want that, so I'll undo. So I'll go back and select the wall again. If I can get it. Remember, tab is the option key you might need to use, but here I can select it without that. And then again, edit profile. And you can see then the shape of the profile for the curtain wall. And again, I'm going to use the align tool and choose the edge of my previous wall, and then the line for my curtain wall. Click to finish. And come back and fix the framing afterwards. So I'll go over curtain walls next in another video. And then this wall over here it hasn't had any change made to the profile because it is simply a rectangle. So to change that one, all I need to do is use the arrow there and just drag that down to line up with the opening. But if you're not sure whether that's accurate or not, which view could you use to check that it's lined up properly? Because it can be a bit hard to see it in a 3D view. Exactly, yep. So go to your elevations, and that's a really good way to work with these profile shapes, and you can see there it has definitely lined up. And that's it. So maybe just to finish off there, I'll get this curtain wall over here, and you can see that even though it's been edited with a profile, I can still use the arrow at the top to stretch the top there to line up and fill up the opening. And don't worry if you get extra panels turning up in your curtain walls that seem a bit unusual, because you can see here it is, oh actually it looks alright there, but then in the elevation you can see there what it's done, it's actually putting in a door on the upper level, but that's normal. So it's added a panel, it's added 2 panels when I stretch the wall up, and because the panels below were doors, it's just put doors in. But anyhow, I'll go over curtain walls separately. So don't worry if you get panels that you're not expecting, it's easy to change them. And yeah, you can even see there's a door handle up there, but that's inside the wall. And we'll come back to that. But yeah, it's a good chance just to think about the shape you want your openings to be in your storefront. And you can almost ignore the curtain walls that are there to start with. And so afterwards, when we look at curtain walls, you may be able to modify those curtain walls to get the new storefront pattern that you want. Or alternatively, you can just draw a new curtain wall in the opening shapes that you've made. So that's up to you. So I'll give you some time to try making some openings or modifying your openings in that existing wall. And then we'll have a look at curtain walls, which is a bit more involved.